I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do to clean up your application. So I'm primarily going to focus on the JavaScript portion of it. Okay, so as you can see, this file contains the declaration of my app. It has a controller, and it also has a directive. So without reading this entire JavaScript file, there's no way for me to know. For example, let's say that I hide, this second portion is hidden. There's no way for me to know the entire content, what this file does. So right now I can see that, okay, there's a controller, but there's no way for me to know there's a directive being hidden underneath. And there might be something else hiding even deeper. So what we want to do is we want to clean this up a little bit and push all the declarations to the top. So by looking at the first few lines of code, we can easily determine what this file does. And I'm going to show you what most Angular developers do. So it's very popular to use chaining. Instead of doing this way, defining a variable and then use that variable for something else. So what you want to do, you just want to chain it. Because every time you call an Angular module or Angular controller, it returns that application or that module itself. So I'm going to copy this, paste that here. And I'm going to copy this. Okay. So since we moved the variable app, I'm going to do the same. Okay, so now by looking at the first 4 lines of code, we know exactly what this function does, and there's nothing else it does aside from what's being declared on the top. And usually what I like to do, and a lot of people don't do it, is just create a little separation. So by using some kind of comment block or something like that to separate the actual things this file does and the implementation of what it does. Okay, so in JavaScript, actually in Angular, controllers are instances of this class. So whenever you use a new controller, it creates a new instance of my controller. So in JavaScript, whenever you have classes, they are usually in upper camel case. So I'm going to rename these from, okay. And as I said before, it's nice to have everything grouped to the top that's exposed to the outside world. So we are going to apply the same technique to my controller file. So right now, by looking at my controller file, there's no way for me to know what it does without scanning and reading the entire controller. Okay, so I'm going to apply the same technique. Okay, so now by looking at the first few lines, I know exactly what this controller does, right? It has these public functions and object being exposed. So anything underneath it are just used here. They are used to be exposed. So if someone just want to take a look at what this what this controller does, they can just scan the first few lines without needing to know the actual implementation. And if they want to know the implementation, that's fine. They can open it up and take a look at it. So by looking at line 12, it looks like you might be trying to initialize a new variable, scope.task. What this one actually does is it doesn't create a new variable. This is a getter. You're getting scope.task and you're doing nothing with it. And I think what you're trying to mimic this behavior. So in this case, when you do var task, it creates a new variable called task, and it doesn't have any assignment. Whereas in this case, it doesn't really do anything, so you can actually remove that. Okay, so enter is the directive. Okay, we can, do something with it. I think that's fine. It's only a few lines of code. Okay, so let's go back to our HTML and make sure that we update it to work. Okay, so my controller has been renamed to with uppercase M, and that should be it. Okay, so with our changes, everything seems still to be working correctly. Another thing I would change is, so my controller seems like it's such a, kind of just proof of concept type of thing, right? This is an actual app now. So what you want to do is name these appropriately. So this is actually a to-do controller, not my controller. My app, maybe you should name it like to-do app, because this is a to-do app. And then so using live server, what it does is it reloads the files when, reloads the browser whenever the file is changed. Okay, something is not happy. Okay, so I changed these two, but I forgot to change the function itself. Okay, and when I'm developing, I usually have the dev tools open. Okay, everything still seems to be working correctly, which is good. Okay, and that's it.